This workshop will take you through how to prepare for your writing conference so that you can ask for very specific feedback. The key takeaway here is that you need to prepare beforehand in order to ask the right questions during your conference. Keep in mind that conferences are only 5 minutes long, and we don't have time to read through your entire paper and give you feedback in every single detail, so you need to narrow your focus on your biggest areas of concern beforehand. Ideally, when you enter the conference, you should have a sentence or a paragraph in mind that you're struggling with, and at least two specific questions about that segment. Oftentimes, when we're asked questions about students' papers, the issue is that the feedback requests are too broad or too general, and it's difficult to give specific feedback as a result. For instance, the question, where should I add figurative language? It's difficult to answer this question because it is so broad and it would require reading through the entire paper to get a sense of where you would add in figurative language. It would be easier to narrow your focus to one paragraph that already has some sensory details that you could add to using figurative language. Oftentimes we're asked about whether something is good or not. So the question, is this a good climax, is difficult to answer. It would be better to use more specifics. Think about what you want to achieve in your story, what you want to achieve in your climax specifically. Do you think that there's anything missing from your climax? Are you worried about your rising actions, whether they build to this climactic moment? Are you worried about whether or not your character's decision is clear? Think more specifically about what questions you have about your climax. And similarly, is this enough internal reflection? Pinpoint a specific moment in your narrative that you feel you could slow down and expand, and that would be a good area to add internal reflection. So now I'm going to show you some questions that are a little more specific and targeted, and that produce better feedback as a result. So instead of asking, where should I add figurative language? A stronger request is, my opening scene starts with a lot of description, but I'm having trouble creating metaphors and similes. I'm trying to compare the front to something else. This is stronger because it points to something specific that you have already done, and then you have a question about where you could add in something specific. Instead of asking, is this a good climax, you could think more specifically about the internal conflict. My internal conflict for this piece is about my soldier's decision to confront his school teacher when he is on leave. Did I do enough to build up the tension in this paragraph? So we're pointing to a paragraph in particular, and we're thinking about one conflict in particular. And that will help to get a sense of what your climax is and whether you could add anything to it to be stronger. Is this enough internal reflection? Instead of asking this, you could think about what advice your peer editor gave you and what you want to do with that advice. So for instance, my peer editor said that my piece had too much narration and not enough internal reflection. I'm having trouble switching back and forth between the two in my climax. This gives me a good opening to give you specific feedback about what to do next. So it's good to go back to your feedback form and figure out, okay, what am I struggling with? What advice was I given? What do I want to do next? So in order to prepare for your conference, first, look back through your feedback form. Put a star next to a rubric band that you feel you would like to level up. Then, narrow your focus on one or two paragraphs in your story. Try italicizing or highlighting these paragraphs on your page so that it's easy to get to them. Then, write down 2 to 4 specific questions for your conference on your yellow autobiography revision workshops page. This will help you enter the conference very prepared and very able to get specific feedback as a result.